Hey Beach Boys fans, what we have in front of us is the famous Wich stand. This was the place for every kid that had a hot rod in the early 1960s. This was the place where the Beach Boys spent every Saturday night and Sunday night, and pretty much every weekend. And also every kid who had a souped up hot rod and wanted to meet girls would come over here, and it was a famous car hop. And a lot of kids from all over Southern California used to come here. They used to ask each other, are you going to go to the stand or are you going to go to the hill? Because it was up that hill on Slauson Avenue right there. And what they'd do is they'd start cruising from the A&W root beer at 139th Street. And they'd stop at the Foster's, cruise there, check out the chicks. Then they'd come down until Hawthorne turned into La Brea Boulevard, and then they take a right on Slauson Avenue, come up the hill speeding and racing each other, and then make a right here on Overhill. Then they go into that entrance right there where there's 63 Fords, they're blown Pontiacs, and Timer 33 Chevys, and they line up in like it was like maybe 7 rows, like 6 cars deep. And then what the kids would do is as they were talking and mingling and making dates and meeting girls, they were getting served by the CarHop waitress at the time. And then they were lined up along underneath that carport right there. And they would, as the car in front would leave, then they got that the car in back of them would move up. But that was okay because they'd spend all night here hanging out. And like I said, this was the most famous place to come, because in the 1960s, at that time, the custom car culture was starting with Dean Jeffries and guys like Big Ed Daddy Roth, and everybody was souping up their cars if they had the chance, getting old cars and making them into hot rods. Anyway, on that spire there was written in neon, the Wich stand. And Brian Wilson loved this place so much that he named his first song the Wich stand. He was really, they like all of the Beach Boys, they really loved this place. And at that time, this was the place to come. Okay, let's cross the street. Beach Boys fans, take a closer look. This was built by the architects Armet and Davis in 1957. And it stayed in business until 1987. And it was closed down, and unfortunately it was vandalized. But because of this, what they call this Googie space age style, they got this place, they made it a national landmark, so they can't ever tear it down. And thankfully that's done, so you know, we can have like a bird's eye view into the past of what America used to look like in its restaurant culture. When I was growing up in the 1960s, they still had car hops, and the girls would come out and serve you at your car window. You kids, you guys born after 1980, you don't know what you were missing, because back then the culture was devoted to the young mostly. Now we've become an old culture, and all the old are rich and all the young are poor. And it used to be the other way around, at least until the 1980s. And we're looking at the famous Wich stand right here, and now it's called Simply Wholesome Health Food Store Restaurant. And back then a lot of restaurants had lounges, and this place had a lounge around the side here, and it was called the Broom Room. Now I guess it's politically incorrect to have a lounge at a restaurant. But here's the hill I was telling you about. That's why they used to call this place the hill. And they used to speed up Slauson Avenue right here and race each other. And then here's the interior. This place is getting ready to open for breakfast. But they called this the Googies space age theme type of architecture. And it pretty much looks original. It was vandalized in 1987, but they this family, they refurbished it pretty nice. And pan around here. Here's where the lounge was. And you guys can see images on the internet. Google it, the Wich stand, and you can see the neon sign that says the Broom Room right here. And apparently there, I guess there was a door here into the lounge right here. And here's a good shot of the hill where they race up, coming down Hawthorne, and the Hawthorne would turn into La Brea, and then they'd come up here and they'd race each other in their souped up hot rods. We're in Inglewood, or I guess you call the Windsor Hills part of Inglewood. They also call this place the Black Beverly Hills, for what that's worth. And about a mile away is where Mike Love grew up, in the Windsor Hills part of Inglewood, before his family lost their money. And then he had to move where the Brian Wilson's family lived, in the poorer part of Hawthorne. So let's go to Mike Love's house now. Okay, Beach Boys fans, hope you guys enjoyed this little vignette of history. Beach Boys history, at least.